Okay guys, welcome once again to our fat loss talk. This is our fourth or fifth. I probably should check that out before I get talking. But today we're going to talk about body recomposition. Before we get stuck into that topic, just want to really take the opportunity, as we have every episode, to once again thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for watching our previous episodes. I'm just trying to bring us up on live so I can see at the same time. Thanks for watching our previous episodes. Thanks for throwing in your questions. Thanks for giving us likes. So look, if you want us to do more of this kind of thing and keep on passing out some education, we're loving doing it. I'd love to get a few of the other guys in here as well to throw up their 2 cents on a few different topics. Now, give us a thumbs up, write a comment, let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing so we can put more forth for you. As I said on today's topic, it is a bit loud in here today, which is cool. We're a gym, that's what happens. People lifting. We've got a group of kids here from the Atlanta swim squad. So if it is a bit loud, I apologize in advance, but them's the breaks. Now, today we're talking about body recomposition. Body recomp is essentially the process of simultaneously building muscle and losing fat over a period of time. Now, just a bit of context before we kick it off here. When we talk about body recomp, I'm not really talking about new to training individuals. And this is not to say that they don't have to come in and train hard. Of course you do. But when you're a newbie, you tend to recomp a little bit just by turning up. The training process, the stimulation is all so brand new that it's going to happen anyway. Hang on, let me just turn this down here, guys. Great. I'm also not talking about the super lean, the very, very lean individuals. For example, someone getting lean for a competition, somebody who is already really, really lean. You're not going to build a lot of muscle when you're at the bottom end of things. Who we are talking about are these guys. I'll move a little bit here. We'll talk about these guys. The intermediate to advanced trainee. Someone who's reasonably lean, think of it as that last 5 kilos to go type person. With about a year's worth of training, and I mean real training experience, not to put crap on other training concepts and ideas, but if you are training for body composition, have you been doing so for about a year, maybe 18 months? Are you reasonably strong? Do you have your nutritional fundamentals in check? You know what protein is, and you have some kind of a plan, you know what you're doing. That's who we're talking about here, to give you a bit of context. Depending on how in-depth and in the trenches you are in the fitness industry, you may hear that body recomposition is a little bit of a myth once you reach those intermediate to advanced stages of training. Now, I'm not here to tell you that it's easy, but I can tell you from our experience here at PPT with a lot of clients that we've worked with on concepts like our 12-week shift and so on, those guys have recomp before. We've had instances with intermediate to advanced trainees, people that have been training us with us for a while, in which they've simultaneously built muscle, lost fat. We've had females that have literally gained 5 kilos of muscle whilst losing 5 kilos of fat. From memory, we also had just recently one female gain 4 kilos of muscles whilst losing 5 kilos of fat. And as you can imagine, that's 1 kilo on the scale. And that was about 12 weeks. About 12 weeks that one was. In that situation, that would be discouraging if all I was looking at was the scale. That's probably a talk for another day. One of our biggest recomposition cases, we actually had a male in our last September to December 12-week shift. He lost 10 kilos of fat and gained 7 kilos of muscle, which is ridiculous. That was big Ryan. He killed it during the last shift, so well done once again, mate. You would have seen his images on our posters for the current and upcoming 12-week shift. We've got Alicia and Mary, thanks for joining in and watching, guys. Now let's talk about, how does this differ from what you're doing now? Let's say you're one of these people and you're listening up to think, how can I implement this into my own training and my own nutrition principles? Look, there's no secret to it. Unfortunately, there's no recomp protocol or something you can do. In a nutshell, what you'd be doing is you're kind of tying in all the 1%ers. You're probably going to sacrifice a few things over this phase of training. Training becomes a priority. Nutrition would be on point, and you'd even be looking at things like your sleep and your recovery and all other, anything that's going to help promote gaining muscle and improving recovery. That is how it differs. So you can see that it's not something you can do forever, and there's only a few phases in which you could probably implement this kind of a thing. Where am I as I check my notes? Okay, principles and strategies. So let's say this is you. You're thinking, That's me. How do I do this? Well, you've got to listen up now, because this is where we're going to give you a few tips and tricks. Now, I will say from the outset, you don't have to implement all of these. Obviously, if you can, you're better off. But even if you just do a couple of these, you might be on your way to a recomposition type phase. But either way, we'll give you a few. If you can do them all, great stuff. First and foremost, eat up. And now what I mean by that is you're essentially looking to eat to your maintenance calories. Whatever your training load, and we'll talk about training in a second, you're looking to eat up to a percentage of, you want to see pretty much your body weight stay the same. You don't want to see a lot happen on the scales. You can recall from those examples I just gave, 1 kilo over 12 weeks is nearly immeasurable across that time. Give yourself about a 1 to 2% buffer. So you will go up and down. That's what body weight does. And if you are using the scales, that's what happens. But this is principle 1. Eat enough to fuel and recover from the training you're doing, but no more than that. And that'll take a little bit of trial and error. Principle 2, lift. In this case, we're going to suggest that you put a preference on weight training over cardio and probably upregulate your resistance training. So you can see this would work particularly well for someone who, let's say you've been training 3 times a week. If you up your training to 4, you're already adding more stimulus, so you could definitely be one who would be a candidate for a recomposition phase. Look to lift over cardio, preferably around 4 or more sessions per week would be ideal. And in doing so, we spoke the other day about cardio. It's still super important. It's there for health. Don't put it on the back burner a little bit, but don't completely shut it out. So perhaps a little bit of maintenance cardio. You might choose to do a short interval session. You might just do some low intensity cardio, but just don't do too much. Makes sense here, right? You're looking to build muscle as part of this phase. Weight training builds muscle. It stimulates growth, and it also burns calories. So it's going to help. Cardiovascular training, although it does burn calories, doesn't stimulate growth. So it's not really energy well spent in this type of a phase. You've only got so many hours in the week to train. You've only got so much recovery ability. So you need to funnel that into the training modes that are going to be most beneficial for you. I'll move over here. Principle 3. Peri-workout nutrition, and what that means, it's a whole nother talk on its own, but I'm going to try to give you something here, a few principles. It's essentially what you eat in and around your workout. Jace, you joining in, Jace? No? Okay. It's what you implement in and around your workouts. So firstly, your pre-workout meal, you want to consume an equal amount of proteins to carbs. For most people, it's probably going to be about 30 to 40 grams of protein and carbohydrate in a food-based meal around 1 to 2 hours prior to training. That's going to be individual. If you eat a meal and then you're full and you feel like crap for 2 hours, you want to push that meal back a little bit. If you can handle food close to the workout, you feel better, hey, do it. The big important part of that peri-workout nutrition that is going to be your intra and post-workout nutrition. In this case, we like to use supplementation. Basically because 1, you can't eat a chicken breast while you're working out. You could, but you're not going to be training that hard. And 2, it's just easier. It's easy to measure, it's easy to keep things on point, it's an easy way to get a lot of carbs in a short amount of time. What you'd look to do, and the trick that we do here, is we'll make one drink. In a drink bottle, like this one. So it's a nice big drink bottle and get a lot of fluid in there. I'm going to put in 40% of my day's carbohydrate allotment. I'm not going to do maths here, I'll bugger it up, but just think whatever you've got in carbs for the day, 40% of those should be put in, and we like advanced carbs formulas. You could use Gatorade, you could use like a cyclic dextrin, like a carb powder. You could use fruit juice if you wanted to, but something. You'd get 40% of your carbs in this big drink. You'd also take what you're consuming in a protein meal throughout the day and throw that in there in the form of whey protein as well. So let's say I'm bringing in 35 grams of protein per meal, and that's my goal over, say, 6 meals. I'm going to use one of those meals in that drink with my carbs. I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to consume 1/3 of that drink while I train, and then I'm going to consume the remaining 2/3 of that drink in the post-workout window. There's no real time on that. Just drink it, sip it slowly once your workout's complete. That's a big one. If you jack that up right and you've got all your other principles in place, that'll do wonders for your training drive. It also helps because you're shuttling nutrients into the time in which your body needs them the most. It's a game changer if everything else is on point. Now, just one point on that. If your diet looks like shit and you just start putting carbs in around your workout, you're missing the point here. Nutritional fundamentals on lock, then you can consider this one. It's like a pecking order. But anyway, there's that. What have we got? That's 3. Okay, last one, 4. I'm not going to talk too much about sleep and recovery here because we did a whole video on it back in Monday. But jump on, watch that video, you'll see why sleep's important. The main thing is sleep is your recovery and your restorative process. That's where all these processes happen, I should say. You can imagine you're doing all of this hard work, you're fueling your body to maintenance, you're fueling your workout, you're training hard. If you're not backing that up with the bedrock of sleep, you're not letting your body restore all this hard work you've done, no recomposition is happening. And you'll literally come undone. We've had people recompose, gain fat, lose muscle. Obviously they had, other way around, gain muscle, lose fat. Other things have been okay. We've not done any new workout nutrition. All we focused on is sleep, and those people, that was the difference maker for them. So that's huge, and that's right up there in terms of the principles that I'm hoping to take away from here. Okay, wrapping it up here. How are you going to know it's working? I said just previously we had people lose 1 kilo of fat, 1 kilo of scale change across 12 weeks. How are you supposed to know if this is actually doing its job? I'm going to give you 2 really simple. Now, the scales aren't going to work. A DEXA scan every week is not feasible for anybody, nor would you really want to do it. Firstly, photos. You want to change how you look. Take photos every 2 weeks and have someone else, not you, because you'll be your worst critic or your best friend, depending on how you're feeling. Have someone look at your photos and compare them. This is where a coach is really invaluable, or a good objective training partner. Comparing photos every 2 weeks. Are you changing? Because ultimately that's what you want to see, a physical change. Let's assess a physical change. The second, and probably even more important, not more important, but a little easier to judge, is your training performance. Particularly in bodyweight lifts like chin-ups and dips. Now, basically here, let's say I can do 10 chin-ups. I weigh 80 kilos and do 10 chin-ups. In 5 weeks' time, I'm now doing 12 chin-ups, but I have 5 kilos hanging off my body. That there could indicate that I might be, you don't really know, but I might be gaining muscle. It's a pretty good sign that you're on the right track. Importantly there though, how's your performance in this sort of 6 to 12 rep range? Because that's the range that's probably a little bit more indicative of muscle gain. Those 2, they're your principles. Have we got any questions? Who we got? Oh, John Eric. Hello, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so that's pretty much it from me, guys. Just as a quick wrap up, eat up, lift about 4 times plus per week. Eat up to maintenance, I should say. Think about peri-workout nutrition if you've got your nutrition on lock. Sleep and recovery is important. Train your ass off, because if you want to see an extraordinary result, be prepared to put an extraordinary effort. Hopefully this kind of thing's only short term. You're doing it for an important reason. Hey Nick, he's over on the floor saying hello to me on Facebook Live. Good stuff. Other than that, guys, once again, thanks for tuning in. If you're an intermediate trainee, you know an intermediate trainee, you know someone who would benefit from this information, tag them in the comments. Let them know that they can get this kind of information from us. We're just giving this out for free, and we love doing it. What we want from you now, as we move into next week, we're going to do another Facebook Live next week. What do you want to hear about? What's some information that you would like us to talk on? If it's not me, hopefully one of the other team can jump in as well. We want to know what you want to know, so we can help you. Thanks again. Tag your friends. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.